Hello and welcome. In this video, what I'm gonna do is to make a quick recap of the course from Deep Learning, okay, deeplearning.ai. Here, the ChatGPT prompt from ChatGPT prompt engineering for developers. And the first model on here, where this is taught by Andrew Ng, which is the founder of Deep Learning, and Isa Fulford from OpenAI. Let me sign in here. That's right. Autocomplete this feature. Okie dokie. Interesting. Why are you? Okay, allow this. In any case, here we are, is this. Alright, so the introduction here, Andrew Ng described that, yes, there's a lot of articles out there talking things like 30 prompts that everybody has to know, but these are very good for the ChatGPT web interface to do one-off tasks. But Andrew Ng mentioned that the beauty and the power of this large language models rely on the developer side, especially for building applications. And here, the way how is starting to doing this is by first think of these large language models as a companion, okay, that is smart enough but doesn't know the details. So, for example, if you ask a person about, tell me more about Alan Turing, it'll be helpful to give some context. Okay, what you want to know about him? You want to know more about his personal life or his scientific work, his role in history, or something else, as well as the tonality. So the introduction here focus is on, in the development on the large language models, we have broadly two types. We have the base LLMs and instruction tuned LLMs. So the first is great because what it does is to predict what is the next most likely word. So for example, if you write a prompt like what is the capital, or in this case, once upon a time there was a unicorn, so the model will likely to complete that live in a magical forest with all her unicorn friends, which is something that I did here. Okay. On my own notes that I take here. Okay. On my own notes here. So is this, right? However, if we now write a prompt like, what is the capital of France? The model will likely to complete with what is the currency of France? So what is the France largest population city? What is the France largest city? Why? Because data that was used to train this model are likely to have quiz of questions about the country of France. So, in contrast, this instruction tuned LLM tries to follow instructions. Okay, so when we write things like, what is the capital of France? The capital of France is Paris. The model will likely to complete. And the way how this works is you start with a base LLM, and then you train So you start with a base LLM, you train with a huge amount of data, and then further training to fine tuning with inputs and outputs that attempts to follow instructions using refined techniques like reinforcement learning with human feedback, so making the model much more helpful and useful. People behind the scenes use this model and make this model to be harmless, helpful, and honest. So they're less likely to have toxic output or problematic ones. So then I look at the guidelines, especially the recommendations or high level principles when you write effective prompts, which is two principles as well as several tactics. First is write clear and specific instructions, and the tactics are clearly used or define delimiters to clearly identify different inputs, okay, whether it's using triple backticks, triple quotes, anchor brackets. This is also to avoid prompt injection, which is something that might happen. Okay, so for example, a smart user or a bad intentioned user might try to override the behavior of a particular prompt. Okay, so clearly define or use delimiters to clearly define different part of your inputs. So that's one. The other is the tactic two, right? So here is to ask for structured data, whether it's JSON or an HTML. Check whether the conditions are satisfied to do the task, which is the tactic three, as well as few shouting, meaning provide the model with examples and let the model perform the task. And the second principle is now give the model time to think. So when you get this incorrect reasoning or in this incorrect conclusions, so try to reframe that with a series of change of reasoning or relevant reasoning before the model provide its final answers. So this is much like when you ask a person to complete a complex math questions without giving proper time to work at the solution first. So they will likely to get it wrong. And here there are some tactics. This first, give the model several tasks or several steps to complete the task. Okay, so for example, based on a particular text, identify if there are instructions in there. If it is, well, do this. Step one, step two, step n, blah blah blah. Provide me this in a series of steps. This tactic two is instruct the model to work out the solution first before rushing into conclusion. For example, giving a particular solution or giving a student math solution. So giving a math problem and the student solutions, instruct the model to work out the solution from the math problem and then compare that with the student solution and see if you get the same result. Okay? And this is also something important to recognize, the model limitation, which is something called hallucinations, which it makes statements that sound plausible but they are not true. And the way to reducing hallucination is to find first relevant information. After all, we are all conducting a research, which is another something important thing. That's another course that I'm taking, and how to be a business consulting freelancer. And after all, we're conducting a research in there, as well as analyze the data and then present the result, much like here what we do, right? So to reduce this hallucination is to, well, find relevant data, then answer the questions based on the relevant information. So hallucinations, for example, are the model can give you, the model can elaborate uh, the model can elaborate text that make sound plausible. So, for example, you can tell the model, "Hey, give me a product review about the dental floss product from McDonald's," right? So there, it is less likely to give. So the model will generate a text that sounds plausible, but actually it's not accurate. So you have to be careful with this. This is also is prone to generate this fake news. So now that I know the model limitations, then I look at the iterative process of how you can write effective prompts. The TLDR is, since this is behaves, or this is somewhat similar, or is very similar to the machine learning development. On the prompt we have is the idea, then we write the prompt, uh, we analyze why we don't get the expected output, right? And then we refine our idea and the input and repeat. Again, this is good for early development. For that, this is good for early development. But when it comes to more robust applications, uh, Andrew and G mentioned that it is better to analyze dozens of examples and to see the average and worst case performance in that case. So okay, then I look at the several tests that this model can do, which is summarizing, okay, as well as, so the summarizing. Let me go. I'm just going to mention uh, the task that it can do, as well as the use case. Okay, so summarizing. So for example, you can tell where a use case is. Let's say you want to summarize a lot of documents that a lawyer will have to read. Okay, so by creating a web application that gives this summarized version of all of this series of documents, and optionally provide a button or a link to dig in more if they wish. Okay, that's one use case. The other is inferring. So with inferring, uh, in the development, this is just to explain what inferring can do, right? So whether it's topic extractions, information extractions, sentiment analysis, uh, as well as as well as doing multiple tests. This is inferring. So because this model, especially when you want to, or in the development of machine learning workflow, if you want, for example, a particular task, let's say extracting names or identify the sentiment of a text, if you want to do that, you need, in the actual mother machine learning development, you have is to collect the label data set, train the model, and then find a way where to deploy that model. And this is just for one task. So the beauty of this large language model is that we can get immediate results, which gives tremendous amount of speed in development applications, and also by having this one single model, one single API to do multiple tasks, they simplify a lot of this particular task. So in inferring is the most common use case is, for example, uh, identify the sentiment of a text, name extractions or product extraction from a particular text, identify the type of emotion as well. Okay, then I look at transforming, which is the third task that the model can do, and large language models are very good at transforming its inputs into another format. Whether it's for translating from one language to another, or helping with grammar, and so grammar checking and spelling or grammar corrections, or even provide in different formats or transform from different formats, such as HTML to a JSON. Okay. So this is a particular task that this model can do. Okay. In the transforming. So here the several use case here is to translate, language identification, tonality. The meaning is that I want you to output this in a particular format, whether it is in a professional way or something more casual in a professional way. For example, when you address to your senior, so the tonality here, as well as tones transformations, format conversions, and spell check and grammar corrections. So Isoful 4 use ChatGPT for pretty much proofread everything she writes, which is something that I actually am doing. If you are working in a non-native language, which is very, very good. Okay, and then the expanding. Okay? So the expanding is a task that takes a very short input of text, whether it's a set of instructions or a list of topics, and the model generate a longer response or a longer piece of text, such as email or a message. So expanding here might be useful and good for things like brainstorming ideas. Okay, so it is great use as a brainstorming partner. Okay, so however, there are also some problematic use cases, such as generating a large amount of spam. So use with careful. Use it carefully. So here I'm going to look at how can I generate a personalized emails based on some data. The email is kind of self-proclaiming to be an AI bot, which is the example that we use here, right? To illustrate the expanding topic. And I also look at another parameter called temperature, which is the degree of the variety of the model response. So for example, if you want a more creative output, so set that to more than 0, 0.3, 0.7, 1, where 1 is having a stroke. No, but it's very creative. So you wouldn't get the same output. However, if you want is a more predictable, reliable output, let's say you are transforming from one format to another, from HTML to JSON, you want to set the temperature to 0 because you want is a predictable output for that, okay, which is this. And then I look at how can I create a chatbot. And the most common components in the chat completion feature of OpenAI, okay? So especially when you are interacting with this large language model or this chat model like like ChatGPT, okay, and this is called GPT based on their, it's called GPT by their acronym, uh, of generated pre-trained transformer. Okay, that's the name of the architecture. So this chat model takes a series of inputs as takes a series of message as inputs and return a series of message as output. So especially when you're interacting with the web chat, with the ChatGPT web interface, so you're interacting is with the assistant. Okay, so the chat model is the assistant that is receive this series of messages input and return a model generated message. Okay. And if we want to now to look at the different roles involving the chat model from OpenAI, so you have is the system that it acts like a high-level instructions where you set the behavior of the assistant. So, for example, okay, in the role of the first message you send to the model, you instruct on how the assistant will behave. So whether it's an AI order taker or a AI customer support from a particular brand, okay. And with this, okay, um, mhm. So with this, especially when you're starting with implementing is this chat model. So the first message is the system where you set the behavior of the assistant. Okay, the first message is to give overall instructions, and then after this message we have terms. We have terms between the user and the message, the user and the assistant. We have terms on that. So this is how we set up things, especially here when we're going to use the chat feature or the chat completion feature from the OpenAI API. Okay, so you start with this first message with the system that set the overall instruction or set the behavior of the assistant, and after that we have a switch. Then after that we have turns between the user and the assistant, and this will kind of continue go, and this will kind of continue and go on. Okay, so this is how the ChatGPT web interface are, right? It's also important that anytime you create is a new, or anytime you are interacting or you're creating a new interaction, is a standalone interaction. So it doesn't have any previous knowledge or context of you. So with that, okay, now I built a summarizer here with Nuxt. Okay, I built a summarizer here with Nuxt, and here I would like us to now build is this inferring task, meaning I'm going to build is another Nuxt application to infer content here, but what I'm gonna do in this case is to so what I'm gonna do in this case is to uh, create a single application, okay, a single page application with this with inferring, transforming, and expanding, right? So, and also I'm going to add the API key so that anybody with an API key can now automatically generate this kind of content. Okay, so let's go with the inferring here. So the interface will be similar to, so for that I'm going to rely on the Tailwind as well. And then I'm going to import this Nuxt for this. I already have this. Okay. So here what we're going to do is to now build this inferring feature with a simple UI UX from Tailwind, which in this case I'm going to move. We're going to switch to the command line, and ultimately, okay, see here, then I can create is now. Nope, I want this to get this command line. Oh, come on, man. What's this? No, but I want is to, in fact, here, Nuxt 3 openai common task. Okay, task like this. Okay, so you actually automatically generate that. That's right. So here you now get into the Nuxt 3 openai common task, install the necessary dependency using performing npm. Okay. That's right. And because we want is to, let me now open the Visual Studio Code here for this. I don't know. Now let me target the command here. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to load this. Why is that? Why is that? Okay, what's wrong? Interesting. Okay, now we are. Okay, here we are. Is loading that. That's right. Okay, awesome. I already installed all the npm dependencies. because I want is to install tailwind model here from the models here. So now let me go to the browser here and install this tailwind. Okay, that's right. This is the command that we should use, especially if you're using performing npm. Okay, and then we need to add this to the model property as an array to the Nuxt config, to the powerhouse of Nuxt. Okay, cool. And here, now that I install is the tailwind model, now I go to the, how do you call this, to the Nuxt config here. I'm going to add the models here, and if I want to use this, which is something important, I'll need to see the video here, Nuxt tailwind, and get started. Okay, exactly. This is now, that's it. You can now use tailwind class in your Nuxt app. That's right. And then you guys. So we're running Nuxt dev. This model will look for this file, the assets CSS files, and the tailwind config like this. If they don't exist, the model will inject a basic configuration for each one, so you don't have to create this file. Great. If you're going to create your own tailwind CSS file, make sure to add the tailwind directive for each of the tailwind's layers. Learn more about overriding tailwind configurations and the options that you can provide. Okay. So because now with tailwind, I just want to use a pretty straightforward component here, especially for applications. Let me look at this, especially for applications, calendar, application informations. Product list, page examples, all of these pages are, you need to pay for them. Components and categories, store navigation, navigation bars, feedback, forms, page examples, like landing page, pricing page, about page. What about a single about page? No. Okay, no, they don't provide that. They don't provide the code for that. What about landing page? Nope, they don't provide that. Okay. What about the page sections? What about us? Okay. Okay. Hero section. Okay. So I'm going to use this code again. All right. Yep. I'm going to use this code, which means is this. I'm going to use this code here. I'm going to copy here and now switch to the code here to our main configuration, which is the application here. And then I'm going to create is the components here. That will be is the header. So the first component here will be is the hero. So I call here this. Or we can is call something like the folder here as the hero section, like here. So hero.view using is this snippet that allows to easily build this single file component structure and paste all of this code here. Okay, as well as one of the cool thing of this is that it provides also the code in view 3, which is great for this. It provides the entire code from view 3. Let me pass here the len as TypeScript. Okay, and let me now import this component in our main app, which is instead of the Nuxt welcome, I would like to import is the hero for that. Meaning that I need to import. So since here we're using is Nuxt, so there is no need to do the outer component import. You know what I mean? So allegedly it's supposed to do that. So fail to resolve import headless UI UX as well as this. Does this file exist? We'll need is to include is this. So performance npm install this, which is part of the headless UI that it leads to, as well as the hero icons. As well as the hero icons. Like that. And then install the hero icon for this using the performance npm. And now run the dev server, the Nitro dev server. So now if I navigate to the local host here, exactly. So there is no need to do the import. So be explicitly of that. Okay, that's actually great. That's actually great. So what can we do here is just to, well, now go back to the code, do some house cleaning like this. Right. So for example, let me is since this is the header from the navigation. Okay. the case of the company is Eolier, or in this case is Nuxt 3 OpenAI features. Nuxt 3 in OpenAI common task, okay, which is this text, the same for the company, okay. So let me remove is this logo from Tailwind, as well as over here, okay, that's right. And we can now change is the type of product we're going to show. So in this case is the product feature marketplace and companies, but in our case will be is inferring, for the sake of the example here. Like this. Why doesn't it load that properly? Now if I go back here, inferring, okay, which is this, and in our hero here, so we got things like the dialogue, a dialogue panel. So I don't intend to overwrite anything in there. Okay, in fact, what I want is to overwrite is this. So let me is now to remove the announcement here. And here, okay, is to add the content, which is inferring. Inferring, right? Inferring. So right below we can is add your API, add your OpenAI API key. Okay, like this. Add your OpenAI API key, and right below we're gonna add is a input. So if I go now to the inputs here, like the docs, that is the input here. Form inputs, form, that's right. It is funny because after all, this is a plugin. The Tailwind Forms plugin adds as an opinionated form reset layer that makes it easy to style form elements with utility class. Okay, Tailwind Form, which is a plugin, and because we're using is the Tailwind's configuration, we're supposed to import that like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. So meaning is on the asset CSS tailwind.css is what I need to define is that. So this is the assets, right? And then you have is the CSS folder where you're going to define is the tailwind.css. I think I write not properly. Okay. Yep. is this. Okay, so now if I want to import that plugin, okay, it says on the website here, hey, you know what, this is the Tailwind CSS form plugins as an opinionated reset layer that make it easy to style form elements with utility class. So learn more about form plugins, please do. So I need to install this and on the tail.config.js import it. Okay, so if I want to have, this is under development. Okay, so let me go back to the Tailwind here, because now it's this. Okay, stop this dev server, import that using the performance npm install save def. It's a def dependency. Okay, and then so even though that it creates a Tailwind file, which is not needed, here I'm going to create is the Tailwind configuration file, right? This is the Tailwind configuration file. Tailwind configuration file, where now, since this is using the common GS model export declaration, so I need to do this to export this model. There is no theme right now, but yes, there is a plugin here, which is this. So now I should be able to use that plugin. So view the live demo. Let me take a look at here at the view live demo, which is something that I quite familiar with, which is on style, simple, underline, solid. Okay, it contains this kind of format. Examples. Okay. That's right. So now if I go back here with the inputs, in this case on the form, now this is the here, but if I want to use is the form, or to provide me with some forms, which is typography, borders, effects, filters, tables, border collapse, border spacing, transitions, reforms, interactivity, this. What about input, my friend? Input. Interactivity, file input, okay. Well, let's going to use this form, right? So for example, if I want to do is this, okay, I just want is to use this type of inputs for a simple on the line and the solid. Okay, we'll use is the simple for this. So if I want is to, for example, use the simple, So what I can do here is okay, input. Where is this? Core concept. Okay, core concept. Hover focus on other states. So, for example, here, since this is a form, that's right. So I just want is to copy this example here, where right below I'm going to define is this kind of thing, okay? And let me now run the dev server to see the change on here. Okay, so nitro build is that. Okay, that's right. Interesting. So it reset a lot of, okay, it reset a lot of this configuration. But if I don't want to use this plugin, for example, okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. What about rerun the server? And for some reason now, okay. So I know what I have to do, which is in my case is not importing dev save dependency. In fact, it's uninstalled it. All right. So need to build the dev server, and then you got it. Okay. 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 Cool. Yep. Oh. All right. Okay. Much better. Yeah, much better. Okay, so we can add now this class here. for here. Okay, so add OpenAI API key. So we add a lot of style here. Okay, add your OpenAI key here. And for the inferring, okay, is for example inferring, and right below we can add something like this. Is for information extraction. Information extraction. Identify information extraction. Identify company or product name. Exactly. Identify company product name. Or for example, identify company product name, like that. So here what I can do is add in a margin for that. Information extraction, for example, identify company product name. Add your OpenAI key. Identify name, for example, identify name. Right, so add your OpenAI API key. That's right. Then right below, you're going to add is another block here, where here you will have this will be a text area. Text area. Interesting. Of course, because it must be is a text area. Okay. Add your text like this. Okay. Add your text samples. Okay. And right below, you're going to add as an input. Add name to recognize. Add names to recognize. Okay. Like this. Add names to recognize. And then you have ultimately the bottom. So if you're following is a bottom form. Wait, what? No, what is this? The submit. Which is this. Where in our case this is the bottom. Where's the bottom? I don't see the bottom here. Okay. Let me now look at bottom here on Tailwind. So like this, which is type submit. Okay. So save change here. Here this will be called is infer. Or you can say star. Alright, instead of round full, this will be round mid, medium, and if now I look back to this is a star. That's right, but we need to add some class here. Okay. So we have our button, pretty straightforward. Okay. Let me now add a label here to wrap this button right below here. Okay. That's right. Start. And okie dokie. Get start. And now here we can is remove some kind of this kind of padding, this unnecessary padding here. Okay. We just only can add a little bit of padding, not that much. From here. That's right. Not that many padding. Like enough padding to have. So this is inferring information extraction. For example, identify names. Add your openai key. Add your text sample. Add names to recognize, and then you hit start. So I don't know why we need to keep scrolling down. Okay. Interesting. You can pass this kind of argument. Awesome. You can pass this kind of argument to that. Awesome. Interesting that you can pass this kind of argument here. Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Cool. Cool story, bro. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. 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 So now that I have this layout, okay. Uh, Now it is time to pass the proper arguments to that. Meaning is that so let me also remove the logging here because there is no logging here. Okay, so there is no logging here. In fact, what you want to do is to just add the API key, the text samples, as well as this. For the text area, MDM, we can is add some default rows like this, where here we got is this. So like this, okay. Here, and so so this is the design, okay, the design aspect. Then now I'm going to build the, I don't know why it doesn't detect that. Oh, I'm here. Now I'm going to build is the underlying functionality, meaning that in our case, what we're going to do is to detect this. Detect this input as the key. So once you, let me use this DB model here for this two-way data binding, okay, which is the openai key. All right, and here we're going to add this as a reactive reference from the template. Comes openai key as a reactive reference from the template, okay. Right below the V model, where here this will be called as the text, okay, text, because I text input, okay, as a reactive reference. To be more specific, text input, and the here so let me remove the value here as well as this, and the names. So here is DB model, which is names. So add names to recognize. followed by a comma. So here are these examples. When I look at the conv the names as a reactive reference, you can say John Doe to remove the value property here, and there you got it, right? So if I go back here, you should be able to look at this. And now the template should recognize them. Oh, there's some error here. White space was expected. Here on what? 72. No, but there is no error anymore. Or you're still getting this error. John Doe. But let me add this as a placeholder here. Like this. Okay. And now since now I'm going to hit the OpenAI endpoint here, a good way to do that is to first define that function, so which we'll call function submit. Okay, submit that function. So here this function will call is the inferring function. Okay, so this inferring function that we'll receive is the OpenAI key, as well as the text, and the names. Okay, inferring names. That's the name of the function. Inferring name from a text. From text. Exactly. So inferring name from text. So here is where I'm going now to perform that HTTP request. But since I need to rely is on the OpenAI package, OpenAI here. Okay. API, OpenAI API. I'm looking for the examples. All right, the API reference here, exactly about the documentation here, the overview is the quick start tutorial. That's right. I already did this. Node.js, git clone. This is the repo that I want to look. Okay. So since they're using is Nuxt, which kind of behave the same as Nuxt. So we're gonna first install that library. Okay. So install it from here. Okay. Come on, man. OpenAI API. So if I want, yeah, but if I want to, read our GPT guide, explore our library or example prompt. Start experimenting with playground. Am I missing something? OpenAI. Jesus, npm package. What is the npm package from that? Okay. Provide convenient access to the OpenAI API from Node.js application. Most of the code in this library is generated from an OpenAI specification. OpenAPI spec from the OpenAI API. Okay. So the following is that specification. Okay. Important note, this library is meant for the server-side use only, as using it in the client-side browser code will exploit your secret API key. Yep, that's right. So I'm well aware of that. Okay. Even though I'm going to install this, okay, I'm going to install this using the performing npm AI, OpenAI. Okay, and so here is when I'm going to import these components here, right? So first is the configuration. Like this, right? The function is the OpenAI config. Okay. So we're going to import is the, so I'm going to import is from the OpenAI the configuration as well as the open AI API, right? So let me remove this code here, and then is where we're going to do the configuration. Okay, this is where we're gonna do the configuration from that. So on submission, which is this, so on submission, you're going to receive is the open AI key or the API key, which is something that you're gonna pass here, like so. But what it is to here is where we're going to create this instance, and we're going to return that instance. Return the open AI instance, right? So first we need to set the configuration here, and then call that instance. Here we can call this the star openai. Okay, star openai. So okay. So this function will be called here on star openai, where here we're gonna get is this instance, okay, the open AI star openai. You can say is openai star openai, like this. All right. Here we're going to pass is the key for that. So once we get that, okay. So once we get that, now it is time to await and perform that operation, which is in our case is this, right? So here we're going is to infer that chat completion. So you're gonna await for this, meaning that this is an async function. Okay, and here the first role we're gonna pass is the system that will tell us you will act as a, so your role will be infer. Your role will be infer names from a text. Anything outside of this, outside of this, this is your role, and the counting here. So your role will be infer name from a text. Anything outside of this, you will say you will output is not an inferring task. It's not an inferring task. It's not an inferring task, sorry. So your role will be infer name from a text. Anything outside of this, your output is not an inferring task, sorry. You'll output the following text, and then you're going to pass this another message. Okay, so this set the behavior. Okay, setting the behavior. Setting the behavior. Okay. Setting the behavior. So like this. Okay, so if I now look at the the OpenAI specification, which is in our case is this, create completion, but here we are using is the create chat completion. But okay, so in here I set the behavior for this using the create chat completion. However, if I want to keep a conversation with that, let me now look at the Firefox here, the course from that. I think we got is this already open. No. No, the chatbot here. Okay. But here we need to append in some context here. So here they define is this helper function, get completion for message. We're now here, since we're using the OpenAI chat completion create. the model, the message, and all of that. And the message here. Okay, so here I'm indicating is the model that I would like to use, then the message, and then the temperature. Okay. Okay. So much like the same, what I'm gonna do here, the model, the message, in this case is an array here. This is the message, message. Something I'm going to define is here. And we're going to pass that. And here we're going to feed the model with different message. So meaning is message like this. Role systems and all of this. Okay. Then the chat completion, what you're going to pass is the message. Where in our case, it will be a new message here. It will be a new message that will contain is the role, in this case as a user, with the name, right, which is the content, with the content, all right, which is infer or extract, identify identify the following names. Okay. Names like this. Identify the following names. Identify. You can say something like names input. Okay, where here is the names, and this is the names input, which is a string. Okay, after all, a string. This is a string where I would like to split this per here and to get all of this as an array, right? Name split. Okay, so name split, so you can identify different names here. So once you get all of these names into an array, then they would like us to spread that name. Then you say things like names, something like now using is this, the template syntax, template string syntax, to say names dot join all of them for that. Or instead of doing this, okay, you can just pass those names directly. So assuming that the user is providing you the proper format, which is something that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't assume anything, especially from the user, but for the sake of the example, I was going to do this. Okay. Identify the following name given. Identify the following names on this text. Okay, so identify the following names like this. So identify the following names based on the text, based on the text delimited by triple dashes. Okay, which is another delimiter. If we remember, I'm following is the tactic, so particularly tactic from that, which is text. Based on the text delimited by triple dashes. Okay. So with this, now we call the chat completion and now wait for that instruction to ultimately pass that. And then once you get that, you will now show and display that data right below. So in a label here, or you can do is instead of using is this label. Yep. So to, oh come on man. So to simplify our life, we can just do this. and show the result here, right? Which is the result. Result, which is a reactive reference here, okay, which is a reactive reference here. The result, like this. That will going to append to this based on the message we're receiving. Based on the message we receive from there. Okay. So on submit here, we're gonna call is this function. We're going to pass is the openai key as a parameter, as well as the text input, right, and the names for that. And we're going to return is this. I would like to return is this, right? So here we can do is something like this. In our submit, hey, let's go to, do you remember result value? Well, let's go to clear that input and then assign that to whatever value we are getting from, which is in our case is an async function, and then a wait for this. Okay. Again, this is the best case scenario. This is to deal with the best case scenario. So when we run this, and then I call this on submit, or on click, okay. So now if I navigate to my application here, and I then properly pass is one API key, which is, open a new window here. So now if I, for example, share this key and add my text sample, which is let's see things like this. For example, a text the lorem ipsum okay, like this, and then I paste this, and then I tell him, hey, I would like you to identify as Venian, for example. Wait, what the hell? Invitation complete. It's because it's okay. Jesus. No, prevent. Okay, prevent behavior. prevent submit behavior. Next. Exactly. Okay, so it's here. So instead of submit, you call here is click. You're gonna call the submit function. Okay, because it would load in that. Okay. Okay. Again, that's not the end goal right now. The end goal is to paste this and then identify as the Venian. Okay. Again, man, prevent form. No, it's like prevent form submit behavior. Okay. We'll submit prevent. Okay, so for example, like that. Here you say on submit prevent for that. So prevent that behavior. So stop that. This is a modifier from view. Okay. And okay. So now that I reload this properly, I can now look at here, copy and paste this, and then tell, hey, Veniam. Oh, come on, man. Still doing that? Jesus. Submit.prevent. Okay. View 3 prevent submit form. Yeah, but I think this is on here exactly. Submit prevent on submit and click my function. But just use submit prevent without an equal sign, which is in on the form. You say, hey, you know what? Prevent this. Prevent behavior. Prevent default behavior, and exactly prevent default behavior, and then on click, hold that function. Okay. So this allegedly should work. So now if I paste the API key as well as this kind of content, and then I would like you to recognize Nuxt. That's right, but it says unauthorized. So on this cookie, so we're sending this. That's right. The following names, object. That's what happened. Delimited by this because exactly that's what happened. What is to pass is the dot value for that. Because at the end of the day, this is a reactive reference. That's what happened, as well as the text, which is a reactive reference. You know what I mean? Exactly. But now we're sending is incorrect API key provide object. Exactly. The same for this because so instead of doing this here, by the way, what's going to do the structure is the value when we pass the data. Okay, meaning is here. You're gonna pass is the dot value for that, as well as the text input dot value and the names of value. So these are strings. The same for this is a string, and the same for this is a string. And now here okie dokie, we're going to provide is an open API key as well as this venue. But now we get is this proper exactly. You exceed this. Okay. So that'll be all for this video. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.